So this is part 3 of building out an AI video generator application. And what we're going to be doing in this one is trying to go through some of these user stories and see if we can improve the script. The first thing I do want to do is be able to allow specifying an overall theme. So if I want the video to be created and maybe have a cartoon theme or something, like right now, it just by default, everything is very, looks realistic, I guess. But what we could do is I'm going to grab this whole user story and then I'm going to make a new prompt here. I'm going to paste it in. And then I'm going to give it some technical requirements. And we're going to say, I should be able to provide a hyphen theme. And then say like cartoon, which will then apply that theme for when it generates all of the image prompts to make every single image look consistent with the theme. Okay. And then I'm also going to refactor and say, also refactor to allow providing a prompt flag so it's more apparent, and also a time flag. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I think prompt and then time. I'll say duration. How about that? So we're going to plan this one out and see if it can kind of add that in. Because right now when you run it, it's just like an ordered list of arguments, which is not the best user experience for a script. And again, eventually we're going to get rid of the script and it's going to be all put in front of a UI, right? But I think having like a really robust script where I can specify these things could be kind of useful. Anime style theme, prompt, Civil War battleships, duration. So I'm going to go and copy this, but we're going to build this out and then we can probably start testing it. Now, another thing I want to kind of look into is that right now we just have a giant generate script and it's not too long. It's around like 600 lines of code now, which that's on the borderline of like, yeah, I think I should refactor this away. And you'll see that the script is basically broken up into multiple like sequences. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And I think all these steps could be abstracted away into their own files. And then we can find a way to make it more abstract so that we can mock stuff out if we need to. So like if we wanted to mock out Whisper and have it just return some random text, we can do that and then do some type of test-driven development. So I think I might actually do that with the next prompt. Just do a little bit of code cleanup because I think we're reaching a critical mass point of this file. Let's let this finish running. Let's see, what is it doing? I think it's trying to actually run my stuff, so I'm going to stop it. I don't want it to use my credits. But we can go down here, we can run this here, and I'll say duration of 10, and then we'll say Civil War battleships, and we're going to run this and see what happens. Target length of 10 seconds, 25 words, generating the script. All right, so while this is running, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off a new prompt. I'm going to drag this in. I notice that this file is getting pretty large. Can you find a way to abstract out all of the third-party services and the steps of the sequences into separate files, and then also find a way to more easily allow me to mock out these things so I can write tests over the main script and easily mock out, for example, the Whisper call, or mock out the OpenAI calls, or mock out the fal.ai calls, and then write a vitest test to verify the script does the happy path by mocking out all these services, so I can run the test to verify everything still works. And then I'll probably just plan this one out as well. Let me zoom out one too. Now, while this one's planning out, let's go to the script. And I want to make sure that it provided that theme. So I'm pretty sure I said cartoon. Video prompt, widest out shot. Rendered in detail anime style. So it should have applied anime style to all these. Yep. Which is good. Theme, anime style. So this should be good. Hopefully it actually makes like an anime looking video here in a second. And I think it should be good to run this build. So I'm going to read through the plan real quick and make sure that what it's going to build out seems pretty good. So we have generate is pretty long. We're going to orchestrate in the 6 steps. Here is what it's end up going to look like. Create a shared types and services interface. Okay. Extract service implementation. I think this is the one I'm kind of familiar with. So like we have all these different services, 11lav, FAL, FFmpeg, all these. We have a test fixtures now. We have a test for the actual generate. And yeah, hopefully this is good. I'm going to go ahead and just like run this because the output video is now done. And then we can go and look at the output video. Definitely doesn't look like anime. So I think we'll have to figure out how to actually make that look good. Yeah, I think another thing we're going to have to do is I need to add in a quality flag. So right now it doesn't seem like the quality is very good. So when this is actually running, I'm going to go ahead and kick off another one. I need the ability to pass in a -- quality flag, which can provide 480p, 720p, or 1080p, and also make sure you pass those qualities to FAL AI when you're running the WAN 2.2 fast generation. Go ahead and plan that one out. Now, hopefully I didn't run this one too fast. I mean, this was currently in the process of refactoring all my code. I think it got to the part where it's just like running tests now, so I think it was fine to kick it off when I did. But that's something you need to keep in mind when you're doing agentic coding is don't kick off a refactoring task and also like an implementation task at the same time, because there's going to be conflicting understanding of the code base. But I think we should be good when this thing is done doing the mock stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this anyway. And the reason I want to do this refactoring to make it easier to test is because I have a user story, or sorry, I have I think a tech debt about rate limits in case something were to go wrong when trying to like access FAL. These, when you're interacting with third-party services, it's better if you can mock these out or stub them out. So you can test edge case scenarios. What happens if you hit FAL AI and it's down? It gives you a 500 error. What happens if you hit 11 labs and you've hit your rate limits or you've hit your total tokens? Can you mock it out so it returns the right type of error code so your code is more resilient? Having unit tests can help you build out more resilient code, but having it structured in a way that makes it easier to test is the first step, I believe. All right, so it looks like the refactoring is done and the quality flag is done. How do I run this? So you have to basically say quality. I'm going to try running the same prompt we just did, but I'm going to say quality 1080. Does this specify P? Yeah, I do. So I'm going to try this and see if it looks a little bit better with anime style. 1080p is not supported by FAL WAN 2.2 fast. Use 720 instead. I guess it tells us right there that it doesn't work. Let me go to the model. Because I thought, over here, no, I didn't mean to run that. Where's the quality here? Resolution. 720, okay. Well, yeah, I think what we're going to have to do is find a different one. So WAN 2.2. Text to video. Text to video. Fast WAN. Let's just go to the default one and look at this one. Oh, that's text to image. I mean, they have this LoRa's one. I don't know what the LoRa means. Like, typically a LoRa is something you add onto a model to make it have a more specific type of look or feel. But is it saying it's coming with the LoRa already? Your request will cost 1 cent per second. So this is going to be pretty expensive, but you have the ability to add it. Okay, it's the ability to add in whatever LoRa that you want. So if you click it, I guess you can give a path to an uploaded LoRa. Interesting. Yeah, I do wonder if maybe there's a better model out there. So I think one of them... Let's just go to Explore real quick. At the very least, I can run this with 720 while we're kind of like doing some research. One thing you'll find out is that with, building out software, it's not all about coding. It's about research and understanding like what you're trying to build out. So I do want to make sure that, can I like just search for text to image? I don't know if FAL's the best place to find stuff. Like I want to just find text to image stuff. View all models, text to image. I'm sorry, text to video. Here we go. 96 different models. There's Kling, Minimax. I heard Vidu's pretty good. I'll look at video and see what the price is of this. Supports 1080 as well. Audio, I want audio to be off. What's the price for this one though? 3.5 cents per video second. For 1080, it's 2.2 times more. About 7 cents per video second. Yeah, I mean, let's just try it out. I'm going to grab this API and I'm going to plan out another one. Can you add support for a model flag? And I want you to support vdo as one model and WAN 2.2 as another model. If you run the script without providing the correct model, it should print out a list of the models and the proper arguments. And then I want you to make sure the audio is turned off for vdo. Resolution, aspect ratio. They have a duration. 5. Okay. Keep in mind that this one's argument has a duration instead of the number of frames. So you're going to have to figure out a good way to translate the prompting of duration I'm providing in the CLI to the different models. So find an adapter and maybe like a duration type that you can apply to models, because every model needs a different way to basically take in my duration argument and translate it to its internal structure of how it can use durations. Okay, so I'm basically just giving you some context of like the other model I used, the WAN, it had number of frames and frames per second, which are very like lower level tweaking. And I want my CLI to be a higher level argument. So like we need to make sure we specify that. So I'm going to pass in that. Hopefully it can build this out. And then we can also check out the output of our run. Hopefully it looks a little bit more anime style, but this is not looking like anime.
During the American Civil War, ironclad battleships like USS Monitor and CSS Virginia revolutionized naval warfare. Turrets, armor, and ramming tactics clashed at Hampton Roads, reshaping blockades and river control.
Yeah, so again, I think the WAN 2.2 model must not be that great. Even with the 720, it's because I'm using the fast model. I think I'd probably have to use a better model. Hunyon was one that was mentioned. I mean, VO3 is also supposed to be a good one. Kling is a good one. I wonder how much these Kling ones actually cost. Like maybe I should just be using these higher quality models from the get-go, because these just definitely look better. For a 5-second video, your request will cost 35 cents. Okay, so let's also support Kling. So I'm going to take the API here, and we're going to build out this first. Make sure we can support the other model that we mentioned. And then when that's done, we'll also support Kling model and maybe VO from Google. Definitely going to have to spend like $100 testing out this video generation, but that's fine. Okay, it looks like it's basically finishing this up. I'm going to use the same prompt to kick off another plan mode when this is done. Can you also support Kling video? You know, why not? Let's just go ahead and find one more as well that we can support. VO fast. I do wonder if I should stop using these turbo ones. The turbo ones are obviously cheaper. But we have Kling, Vdo. Let me check this one out. Not bad. You can't do 5 seconds here. I'd be curious. Let's check the resolution. Okay. Generate audio. Autofix. Whether it automatically attempts to fix prompts that fail. Content policy. Sure. Okay, let's go and try to do VO3 fast as well. What's the pricing of this actually before we burn through my wallet? Let's see. A 5-second video and audio will cost 75 cents. For every second of video you generate, it will be charged 10 cents audio off. So it's about, it might be $1 for a single video. So that's going to be kind of expensive, but let's just go ahead and bring it in. Bring in these 2 additional models. Keep in mind, let me look at the duration. Yeah, you can pick whatever duration, so that's cool. Yeah, I'll do a plan for that too. Now, I would be curious, is it like making separate files when it generates these different models, or is it all just putting it inside of one Val AI service? I think right now it's just putting everything into Val AI, so like it has a switch statement on models probably. Yeah. I would probably refactor that, but honestly, let's just build this out for now, and then we can do one more prompt to refactor it and say like, I would rather have Val split up into models. Okay, now I'm going to do one more thing. Like I'm going to keep the context window since it has good information about what it just built. I notice that you're just basically putting a bunch of if statements inside of the file.ts file. Instead, can you make a models directory, and every separate model that we invoke with fal, I want you to have a separate model file that describes how to actually like invoke the model so that the fal file isn't going to become super large. And I also want it to be very easy to extend and add in new models in the future without having to modify and change a bunch of different places. So find a great way to easily add in new models. We'll see how it does. And this might actually be the last prompt that we do in this video. I think we've made some good progress. Again, I'm just trying to do smaller little additions every part of this series. But I mean, we've done some core refactoring, we've added tests, we've done new model support, new flags that we can pass into the script. So I think we're making some progress. Okay, so replace the if chain with modular services models directory. Each model is self-contained file that defines how to invoke the Val AI API. Essential age registry makes it trivial to add in new models. Create one file, add one line to the index. Yeah, I think I like the sound of that. So we'll kick it off and just kind of hope for the best. I think this will be good too because every model seems like it has different configuration and options, and having it know how to just take in my CLI input and map it to its internal arguments would probably be a better approach. All right, so now we have all the models kind of listed out over here. And let's kind of check one out to make sure it's working. Adapt duration, duration in seconds. Hit input. Now, I do think this is an issue. It's returning 4 seconds hard-coded here. Does VO3 fast? I thought it supported... Oh, it has to be those. That sucks. So yeah, reading through the code, I'm realizing that there's a little issue because some of these models have a hard-coded length, but we've told like everything the way we generate the videos, we assume 5 seconds, right? That's what I'm trying to say. We assume 5-second videos, but all these different models, I think, have a different length. So that's another thing that we need to kind of keep in mind so we don't code ourselves into a corner there. Some of these do support like FPS. Okay. Let me do one more prompt. I'm noticing that some models like VEO have only support 4 seconds, 6 seconds intervals, but I do think all of our code was written with this 5-second video length duration in mind. I think we're going to have to find a more elegant way to not bucket by 5 seconds, but also look at the model. And depending on the model, we should change the bucketing parameter. Defaults at the 5, but if it's something like VEO as the model, we're going to have to change it to 4 seconds or something else. We'll kind of see how this does. I'm not too sure about this prompt. This is one of my... Sometimes when you're prompting, you have a very good understanding of what you want. Sometimes when you're prompting, you don't. And this is one of those situations where I don't feel like I have a good understanding of like what I need to do. How would I solve this myself? But I think what I will do is make a new window there because I do think that one's going to get pretty large. Okay, so again, this is like an ideation plan. I want to figure out what it thinks it needs to do. The pipeline uses a hard-coded seconds per video segment 5. Calculating number of video segments, okay. Building time-based chunks from whisper transcripts. VO only supports 4, 6, and 8 seconds intervals. Its adapt duration rounds 5 seconds down to 4, so we create 5-second chunks but get 4-second videos, causing audio length mismatches, okay. Add an optional segment duration sec to each model handler. The pipeline will use this for bucketing, default to 5 when unspecified. Model handlers 4, 5, 5, 5. Segment duration segments, yeah. Okay, so basically every model is going to drive like the overall script. So I think this is a good approach. Let's kick off and see how it's going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just run it. And I'm going to say model is, let's do VO. Let's just do the hard one. And then I'm going to say 720. I'm really going to, 780, I mean. Let's see. Let me also see how much credits I have right now on FAL. Do a refresh. I have 1350. I drop down to 12 or 11 here in a second. So using VO3, the non-fast mode, about twice as much. I am curious, is the quality like that much better? Faster and more cost-effective processing. Yeah, as you can tell, there is a ton of different options out there. I don't know what the best ones are. So you guys can leave a comment if you think there's something I should be trying out. I know there's like a new one, a Chinese model that someone mentioned that's pretty good. Yeah, C-Dance. I think C-Dance 2 came out, which is pretty good. But ultimately, I don't know if I even want people to be able to choose the models. Like when I do convert this to a SaaS application, one good rule of thumb that I've read in a book is like, don't make people think. And there's different types of users. There's power users who maybe want to be able to choose the different models and enable like audio. But then there's the casual users who just want to prompt, give me an educational video. It should look good. I shouldn't have to think about the models. I shouldn't have to think about quality. Like it should just by default give me a 1080p, good looking video. And I think that's the avenue I'm going for. I'm not going for power users. I'm going for casuals who just want to generate AI videos. So I think adding in the ability to do the different models is good for me in my testing, but ultimately I'm probably going to end up hard coding to the best model that's not the most expensive, that can at least give some good quality text to video generation. And it might also end up being that like using a text to video model is not the actual best approach. We should be using an image to video model, and then we'll have to go back to that original diagram where I would have to go and use like the state of the art image generation models first to create the starting image of the scene, and then kick that over to an image to video generation model. Maybe that ends up being the actual best approach. But again, I'm trying to do iterative, smaller steps so I can just kind of test out the theory of this script and research more about how this stuff kind of works. But I will say we are done with changing code right now, unless we run into a bug. But Composer 1.5 is doing pretty good, so I don't think we'll have to do anything. I'm going to commit this. Okay, that looks like anime. It's not perfect, but it looks more like anime than the other one. So VO, I might even document this or even make a case studies directory. So I'm going to go over here and say case studies. And then I'm going to, for every model, I'm going to put VO. And we're going to, when this is done, I'll drop this in so we can kind of see outputs. But we also did WAN for one of these. I don't know which one we did. I think it was this one. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say WAN over here. And then I'm going to drop in the final. I do believe this is the 1080p. Or no, this is a 720p, I believe. That looks terrible. But I'll probably have to go through and try every single model to see how they perform, make a case studies folder, analyze which ones look the best, try to do a cost analysis and how much it probably costs to build that. So then if I do make this into a SaaS, well, I am going to make it into a SaaS, I can then figure out the proper amount I should be charging for tokens. Now, one thing I will do though is in a run, I'm going to document the arguments. Can you store the provided arguments to the generate command inside of the run output so that later on when I come back, I can see what arguments, what model, what resolution, what duration I provided. So there should just be like a JSON file that's added to these run outputs that tracks all that stuff for us. Okay, I'll go ahead and just kick off that as a plan. Not an ask, a plan. Okay. Now it looks like it's taken a long time on some of these videos. Like it just finished 0. All right, looks like it's done. Stitching it together. We've got the final output here.
During the American Civil War, ironclad battleships like USS Monitor and CSS Virginia revolutionized naval warfare with armor, turrets, and rams shaping blockades, river campaigns, and future steel navies.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I like how it kept the anime style consistent, so we know the styling's working fine. The video, again, I do think you're going to have someone, like a human in the loop, to make it have a good cohesive feel to the storyline. We'll have to come back and tweak AI to make the prompting be a little bit more cohesive. Right now, it just seems like it just generates random things that fit. And then some of them just don't look like how the fact that this missile came out and then like just transformed this thing into a turret. Kind of weird. I don't know what's going on here with the split, the top and bottom split. I guess they're trying to show like two different people battling each other. But again, this will probably take a lot of time and a lot of exploring, research, spending credits, building out videos until I find how to properly theme them, unless people can leave in the comments some suggestions. But yeah, I think this is good now. Hopefully that change will actually persist. We can just do a quick code review to see how it works. Write the run config JSON. So basically it takes in the arguments that were used for the CLI and it just stringifies them and writes it to disk. So I think that's fine. And the generate file is still pretty long. Thought it would have been shorter from that refactoring, but like the fact all segments exist, and I will come back through and do another pass through. I think this file needs to be kind of inspected. Still doing quite a lot. Maybe there's a way we can pull up the argument parser 2 to something else, but I'm going to just add this 2 stuff in, and then we're going to add in this one to a case study. Copy that, put it in VO. And then I do want to get ignore the case study. So let's go to get ignore, case studies, save that so that we're not committing it on accident. Cool. All right, so this was part 3. Stay tuned for the next part of the series in the next video. Have a good day. Happy coding.